I'm Van Sebastian, here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge, Season 10, Episode 46 interview. We'll be talking with Hugh Flynn and discussing his memoir, Something Special Be. So let's get to know our guest. Hugh Flynn is a multi-award winning author, playwright, journalist, and former healthcare communications executive. He's been widely published throughout the U.S. and Canada, and he's written extensively on health, wellness, labor, human rights, and entertainment. He has a long history advocating for the underserved populations. In Something Special Be is his first memoir. His current project is a collection of short stories titled Fifth Grade, an unfettered look at the outrageous life of a precocious child. He and his husband live in Southern California, where his notably wry, sardonic sense of humor is on daily display. Hugh, welcome to the show.
Hey, my pleasure. Hola. What's shaking?
My old age.
We're all shaking. No, it's wonderful to be here.
It's great to have you here. So, where did the passion to write this memoir come from? And I know it came from actual life events, but the drive to actually put pen to paper and spend the hours necessary to craft it into a narrative is something else. And that's the drive I'm asking about.
Years. I worked on the book for about 10 years,
Oh, wow.
off and on. First memoir I ever wrote. I mean, I've been writing since, well, I wrote my first book when I was in the second grade. I just had to learn how to write, and then by the second grade, I could actually write because I've always loved telling stories and I've always loved hearing stories.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of been a constant through my life. But I never sat down and wrote about myself. Of course, writers often will put something of themselves personally into a story. You need that sort of for the emotional authenticity or verisimilitude of the piece,
Hmm.
and hopefully with some decent research. But it's another person, it's another story, it's another location. So this was difficult for me in that respect. So in the in the Something Special Be, I'm the narrator. It's written in first person present. So I wanted to really, you know, bring that reader into the experience
Hmm.
as we sort of went through that journey because it's absolutely a journey. But it wasn't sort of I didn't have a great aha moment, but as I was sort of in the experience and coming sort of toward the outer end of it, I because I've always been a storyteller, I just thought, this has everything built in. And the truth, the statement that truth is stranger than fiction, absolutely applied. I mean, we had every element we needed. I mean, we had incredible, plot twists, plot points. We had heroes, we had villains, we had surprises, we had love, we had sex, we didn't have any violence, but we got close to it many times. And it just was all there. And so as I'm sure people will understand, I mean, there was a legal process. That's kind of the framework for the story because the story goes on for years, and it's just this book is 1 year, and that's kind of the my Greek drama approach to it. Sunrise to sunset,
Hmm.
and I thought, it's all there, and because I had this archive of material, which was incredible, I still have it. I had so much to draw upon. In addition to the journaling I had done, during the process, which I did not do with any sense that, oh, I'm going to make something out of this. I really was just doing that to calm myself down at the end of the day and trying to remember who said what dumb goddamn thing, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I've said to a couple of other people, I think I also wanted to just important to hear that this is a personal story. It's extremely raw. And that was scary writing that. It's not AI. Every word of this, even some of the, discussions are absolutely verbatim because I had this archive and I had a lot of emails turned into conversations. So it's absolutely as authentic, I think, authentic a read as you're going to get. And some people really place a premium on that.
Hmm.
And also, my brother Aaron, who is the central figure of the story, was just always my hero and the person I always admired the most of anyone I ever knew. I just happened to be related to him. And we found ourselves in a fight that I never thought either of us would ever have to confront, but we did. So I looked back on it. I said, well, maybe you should start putting this down a little bit. The years part, in terms of writing it, is a lot of it was extremely painful for me, as I think really good stories really can be. It's like, wow. We were just talking about Rosalind Russell's book. I mean, I'm sure that there's all sorts of chapters in there where you're like, ow. I mean, that's a good book. I mean, I know that as a professional editor and writer. I mean, you need to have depth and layers to your story, uh, if you want the story to really live on
Right.
its own
Right.
merits.
So let's tell folks what the crux of the story is about the battle that you guys actually were engaged in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a it's a journey, as I said. I mean, it's a journey. It's a part family drama. It's part um, courtroom drama. It's part uh, romantic saga. It's at its core, it's a love story really between myself and my brother Aaron, and Aaron and myself. And then at the time, I had a partner who was integral in this process. I mean, he really stepped up, and the three of us became this incredible definition of DEI without even wanting to be, and we sort of went through this process, and that was to specifically answer your question. My brother had lived with me for a year. At that point, things had changed with his life on the East Coast. He was here. We came up to a medical emergency unanticipated, and it required surgery. I had no legal authority at all to make any decisions or to help him with that. And that was a scary moment. There was a lot of risk exposure for me as well as him. And we navigated that. And then that really was the aegis of thinking, gee, I think this might be time to put this into some sort of a legal framework. So I thought maybe I should pursue guardianship of him. Now he was almost 50. He was just 3 years older than me, and he was my older brother.
Hmm.
And so I did. And of course, the first thing I got chastised immediately by lawyers and such. He's talking about, guardianship. He's an adult. It's a conservatorship. He's not a kid. And so that tells you and your audience how little I knew. But I thought that was important to the book too, to let them kind of come through this process as I did. So I had kind of to rewind myself and
Hmm.
kind of come at the story in that kind of way. Well, when I did that, and that would have been with Los Angeles Superior Court, I live here in Los Angeles, our family just blew up. I mean, they just lost their minds, and we were stunned. Well, I'll speak for myself. I mean, I was absolutely stunned beyond belief. And that is the story because we were a year in court,
Hmm.
a
Why would
year.
they not want you to take
Well,
care of your
that's
brother?
a lot of the book is that because and that was a discovery, that was a journey of discovery for me too. First of all, Aaron and I had been living together for a year,
Hmm.
and his life, when many people's lives are kind of shrinking and kind of slowing down, his was just boom, it was opening up because heck, it's Los Angeles. He'd
Yeah.
come from a small town in Maryland and a sick family and a dead father and a dying mother and he was like, "Ooh, let's go, baby," and so we just took off, because hey, you can here,
Hmm.
and everything that everybody does here, we did. We went where the world went, and he was just, and it's wonderful. I'm sure your audience will agree whenever you can see that kind of that rebirth in a person. It's wonderful because honestly, before he came here, I thought we were losing him. I
Oh.
mean, he was in very bad. I mean, clearly depressed, clearly clinically depressed.
Hmm.
He just was shrinking and getting old and before our eyes. And that just, that just rewound itself and went away after he was here. And there you are. And so that's the book. And I didn't know anything about conservatorships. This took place a couple of years after the big Britney Spears thing, and
Okay.
that kind of put conservatorships, on the map, I think, for a lot of people. What the heck
Hmm.
is that?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And all the drama in that story. There's more drama in this story, honest to God. I mean, we aren't celebrities, but my God, I mean, it was amazing. And I thought, well, there you are, going back to what I said. This is
Hmm.
a story. I've got to put this down. And the other piece I would just like to say, and I've said this to other people, I really wanted as many people to meet my brother Aaron as possible because I've just never known anybody as wonderful as him.
That's
Wonderful
beautiful.
person.
That's lovely.
Yep. So is this a book that somebody, after they read it and sort of internalize the story, could also use as a guidepost for their own, especially if it's an LGBTQ couple facing some sort of conservatorship, guardianship, any sort of struggle? Is there enough in your memoir that they could also say, hey, maybe I can follow a few of these guideposts?
It's not a DIY book.
Okay.
It's a story. And this was the thing. You can buy conservatorship books. This is the how to do this and how to do that.
Okay.
Of course, I should caveat that by saying, different states have different rules and
Yes,
different
exactly.
requirements.
Sure.
Hmm.
It's not the same in all states. And unfortunately, that I believe is the reason there is a lot of problems with conservatorships in certain areas. I mean, there absolutely is abuse and things of that nature does
Hmm.
occur.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, in this case, Aaron said, I want to stay here. I don't want to go anywhere. And I said, well, then that's fine. We'll just go on our merry little way. And we certainly were skipping on down the yellow brick road. And then the Wicked Witch was down there. And we like, what the hell are you doing here, bitch? I mean, it was just woo. And we were shocked. So you will learn a lot about a conservatorship, but you're going to learn about it from a personal perspective because it's a dramatic narrative and all the surprises and all of the hoops that was presented to me in a conservatorship. Yeah, you certainly will. And the bigotry that we confronted, pretty much every time we had to talk to somebody or go anywhere or have a consultant or this or that.
That was going to be my
I,
next topic,
yeah,
was
I
to
would
ask about that.
accept, in Los Angeles, for a conservative or many conservatives, which is what he would have been,
Hmm.
um, the court will appoint an attorney for that individual. It's called a PVP attorney,
Okay.
uh, picked from a probate panel, and his attorney was a retired man who was doing this part time, and I was quite impressed with him. I hated him at first. I mean, don't get me wrong, because that's one of the fun parts of the book is how my perception changes and how my own sense of who I was changed, and
Hmm.
my own arc in terms of what I learned about myself, what I learned about my brother, and how shocked I was about the misconceptions I had held all my life about him. Sort of got played out in this extremely expensive absolutely outrageous process. I
Hmm.
mean, because let's put an emphasis on that word, outrageous. So there.
Right. All right. How did you navigate the emotional ups and downs?
The journaling I mentioned earlier helped me a lot because there's no question that times I thought I'm not sure much longer we're going to be able to do this. First of all, it was
Hmm.
extremely expensive, and I wasn't I wasn't getting any money. Aaron wasn't putting any money into this.
Hmm.
That sort of predated his issue because he came to California without his money. And we had another sibling who was controlling his money on the East Coast. And
Mm.
as you can probably sniff right away, there are things rotten in Denmark. And in the course of actually living here a year, I mean, all the bills I was paying for, which I'm not complaining about that, but
Hmm.
it's just that he's
It's
a
it
grown
is
up.
a
He
reality.
has
Yeah.
money,
Hmm.
you know. We go out to eat, we go here, we go there, and he liked to do those things. I was in the process sometimes of just giving him money so he could pay the bill or do that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Because that was a huge so I don't want to place too much of an emphasis on this, but he, you know, had moved back in to live with my parents about 4 years before this happened. He had been living semi-independently, but
Mm-hmm.
he'd never lived in a situation like the one he found himself in Los Angeles because I am his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he was living with a brother back in the House of Ghosts, where the parents had died and gotten sick and all that kind of stuff. But he'd never lived with this brother. And this brother wasn't mother. And just for example, I didn't tell him how to dress anymore. I mean, every mother told everybody how to dress, put this way, right, that, wear your hair like this, and da da da. And if you still have somebody doing that when you're in your 40s, and you have it's an autonomy thing, when
Yeah.
you don't think about that. I don't think about that. You don't think about that. Your listeners don't think about that. But then when that's your life, and suddenly you're in a situation where the person says, "Well, what do you want to eat?" Or "Go get ready, we're going to the movies." It's all of those little tiny things in life. What do and pretty soon he was making his own stuff, his own food, his own lunch, and it was like alert the media. I mean, he wanted to tell everybody what he made for lunch, because it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's just very easy. It's very Thornton Wilder, how Thornton Wilder's was always about. When you miss the little things, you miss your own life.
Hmm.
And I just gave all that back to him and said, "Hey, you do this, and that and that." And of course, he came up with some fabulously inappropriate outfits. I shouldn't say inappropriate, but attention getting. But this is Los Angeles, where people look like
Right.
they wear thousands of dollars of clothing, and they look like shit. I mean, it's like just
It's
because you're
distressed. Yeah. Uh-huh.
just because your outfit has labels on it, you still look like a pile of garbage. So
Right.
don't be judging his ass because I'll come over there and I'll undress you. Okay. So I
And as we all discovered, all of those designer labels are still made in the same sweatshops that all the other shit that people buy make. So
yeah,
it's like,
well, there's
Mm.
that. There's that.
get over
Yeah, we
yourself.
can bring that on the table. But so that was all fun for me too. And because he's an incredibly creative person, he's an artist. We have several of his paintings here around the home, and I grew up in a very creative family, other creative brothers and such. So there's that. I know I've gotten off point here, so steer me back, blow that wind back to
I think it started with asking how you navigated the emotional ride
emotional.
of the
Well,
journey.
uh, I don't know that I really put a whole lot of that in the book because um, it was always, outward and outward from the eyes, this person and that person, because the
Okay.
demands that we were put on us. And I do write about this in the book. At times, I simply had to take that emotional, whatever you want to call it, put it in a jar, put the lid on it, and set it on the table because I can come back to that at another time. But right
Hmm.
now, the demands on me are such and on him are such that I don't have time for that. There's no time to talk to a therapist. You know,
Hmm.
I'm an athlete and I'm a very fit guy, and so I did use a lot of that sort of stuff to kind of keep myself at an even keel. I was running a magazine at the time, and the magazine was in trouble. All the peripheral parts of my life that were going on, I put in the book a little bit because I wanted people to see that a process like this doesn't happen independent of your life.
Right.
You
It's
have to
not an
learn how
isolated.
to
Yeah. Hmm.
integrate this into yourself and your life because you just have to. And I was so so stressed most of the time, that I was, but fortunately, I was old enough and self-aware enough to know that I was stressed. But I'd get on my bike and do 30 miles or something or whatever I needed to do, and would think and try to think in a healthy sense,
Hmm.
because that is hard to do. And I got to say that I feel my jaw tightening up right now when I think about it. Was the I've got a gaydar and I've got a bigot radar, and I can tell, I'm sure you understand, and your reader and your listeners do too. You can sense things about people
Hmm.
like really quickly, and when it comes to like Aaron, who comes in a room, I can figure out, I can read that room. If it was 50 people in that room, I could read the ones that we're going to talk to, in seconds.
Hmm.
And I was so absolutely astonished by the absence of a sense of support from the legal side of it. Because remember, we're paying these people an hourly wage for which they should be, sent to jail. It's a sin how much these people got paid,
Right.
and I would think part of that, well, we're going to offer you some support. No, you know, and this falls under the world of probate. Probate laws is where you do these sorts of things.
Okay.
And the attorneys, I mean, Aaron was 5 feet tall, just this gorgeous blonde cherub, had Down syndrome. And he comes in, I mean, the nicest person who ever lived. And the whole, you see the people like falling down or running from the room like it was like a fire drill or something like that. Oh God. You know, really, we're still doing this. I mean, that happened when we were kids, and I don't remember how many fights I got into over that shit. But really, we're still doing this now. Yeah,
Wow.
no, we are. But the thing about that was that's fine. But this is your line of business. This is what
Right.
you're. This is your métier.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
What am I? Blink. What am I missing here?
Right.
I make a lot of that in the book because God damn it, that's still still
We can
pisses me
feel it. Yeah,
off.
it's coming through.
Yeah.
Is it
It's
coming
coming
through?
through. Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's it's all of these things because I didn't know what I was doing. I made mistakes. They're all in the book. I was like, we got to do this, we got to do that. And the opposition had more money. They had more attorneys. They were coming after us. I mean, they just were going to rip him out of Los Angeles. They were going to tear us apart. And I was so angry so much of the time because of that, because of the blatant,
Injustice. Yeah.
that great word. I was going to say the disrespect, and I said to I said I had multiple attorneys eventually because I had to fire one. That's in the book. You're fired, why can't this system, okay, why can't this system just ask him, what does he want?
Right.
Because he will tell you.
Yeah. They dance all around it. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
But
no, oh, no, no. No, we can't talk to him. Oh boy, that's like that moment I turned into my mother and I had the mother finger and the mother. I was like, oh, don't say that to me now.
your
There are
inner
weapons.
choice buyers came out.
There are weapons within reach. Okay, now
Right.
don't say that to me now.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
So
here's my tiny question, because you
please.
touched on something that is a focus of my life, and you said in passing, but it perked my ears up, that you had perceptions about your brother. And I write about perception. That's my whole gig, because they govern what we do, but we give them very little due. And I want to know, when you started discovering that your perceptions of your brother were not as accurate as you had perceived, did you and your brother ever have conversations about what you had perceived about him and you found out to be different? That's what I'm curious about.
That's a great question. Now, we didn't have a conversation like that per se, but what I was seeing was now, just like me, the parallel was he'd never been in a situation like this either. We were
Hmm.
both in
So it was
uncharted
a mutual
territory.
kind of
And
adjustment.
so I was in the process of observing how he was negotiating this because I'm telling you the disrespect that he was served up. I mean, I I go into it in the book. I mean, I thought, oh, we were, just to give you a chapter, we were at one, um, it was at the regional center, and we had to have this forensic exam sort of conducted, this interview, and there's 6 or 7 professionals around the table. And I mean, the way he was manipulated and the way that they treated him, I'm telling you, I mean, to keep my ass in the chair was an Olympian effort. And finally, at one point in the interview, I just said, okay, I already said this. I said it really nice first. Your readers are like, is this guy ever nice? No, no, I really am. I really am. And then I said, let's move on. Let's move on, please. He's answered that question. He answered that question. How would you feel if someone asked you, um, you know, 10 different ways if Rosalind Russell was a bitch? I mean, but they asked it 10 different ways, and you kind of wondered, well, I thought I answered that. I said no, but they asked it this way and they asked it that way. And that, well, after a certain point, don't you think that something else is going on? Well, that's a rhetorical question. Of course,
Yeah,
something else is
yes,
going on.
exactly.
And I finally said, I slammed my hand down on the table and I said, I just said that is enough. Now we can either move on or this interview is over. It's over. And of course, they're all like, who is this gay guy giving us lip? I was like, this gay guy is going to beat every one of your asses and he's going to take his brother out of here. That is who he is. Now we can move on or not.
It's like it goes to that old gay saying, it's not a woman, scorned that you need to worry about. It's an inconvenience gay.
Well, but I was my brother's champion. I mean,
Yeah, no,
I was,
absolutely.
it was all about I wasn't offended. I mean, I was all about him. I was like, what are you talking to him like that for? And isn't this an environment, all you degreed people and all you PhDs and all that, what am I missing here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's a lot of outrage in the book. There's a lot of outrage. It's not a rant, believe me, but it's there are times we had to go through these things, and I think for probably a lot of people, oh, I'm sure people that could write stories about divorce and all the crap you go through with lawyers and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, so it's like really, I found out
Family court.
family court. One thing I found out was, the legal system absolutely accommodates and in some ways facilitates bullshit.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
there's no question here what's
Yes.
going on.
Yep. Yep.
We live
Yep.
together. We love each other. He wants to stay here. Well,
End of story.
next question.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh no, 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 no. And so, put yourself and go through a year of this.
Yeah.
And holy cannoli. I mean, it was incredible. And the thing I learned, not to sidestep your question, was this is always hard for me, but I put it in the book because it's the character arc for the narrator, was how stunned I was that I underestimated him. Me, how could I have underestimated him? Because the way he stepped up, the way he sustained himself, his dignity, his sense of his agency was, he always was an inspiration for me. But I mean, there were times I was like, this guy is just, wow. And that's why he's the center of the book. And I don't know when I've been told there's no book like this, there's no story like this. I was told early on that this perspective, you can read about conservatorships and such, but this kind of perspective with this cast of characters just doesn't exist anywhere. And that's not why I wrote it, but it's nice to know that there's something unique about it, because you know what? There's a lot of people, absolutely, I know, would be in a situation where they could relate to many of these characters.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they go through a process like this or not.
Yeah.
Because it's really what it's about is, can you get from Tuesday to Wednesday with all the crap that everyone's given to you all the time,
and not have
you
murdered
really get
anybody
there?
along the way.
Yeah, can you not commit a capital offense and get to hump day?
That's why, yeah, I definitely want to make a teacher say, girl, they ain't enough coffee for me to not make you one of my enemies.
But he was also, luckily for me, I mean, I constantly could look back. This is in the story many times because he's very funny. We're all sort of naturally funny. I think our dad was, and he had this really, really ribald and often mischievous sense of humor. And when I was, like I am recalling some of these stories, and God, he would say, what are you doing? And oh, it's all, or he loved the environment he lived in, and and he would talk about it. So he might say something like, um, oh, look at how beautiful that color is on that car. Oh, look at this. And sometimes you didn't know what he was talking about. You're like, well, what do you look at? What is it? Because he was very aware of his environment. And just something like that, can just absolutely take you right into a little place of peace if you need it.
Mm,
Just a little bit
mm,
here and there.
mm-hmm.
There's a scene where we come out of one of the attorney's offices, and I'm in the car like screaming my goddamn head off. And he's sitting over there, and then he cracks a joke at me, and we're all laughing, and I'm like, thank God, you know, I always had that to look at, and just to kind of hone me back to what are we doing here? What are
Yeah.
we doing here?
Yeah.
We're here,
Yeah.
it's yes, we're fighting hateful siblings. We're fighting people that came. Listen, the homophobic piece is all over this story. It's all over it. It's all over it. It's not the first, it's not the first plot of the book, but it's
It's
definitely in
present.
there.
Yeah, it's present.
I don't know if any of these people had ever seen a gay person come in and take a position like this. I mean, so that was their first reaction was, "Whoa, here's this big, scary gay guy, and then what is this little thing? What is this Oompa Loompa he brought in the room with him?"
The
You
mini
know,
me.
and the Oompa Loompa is really nice, but the big scary guy, he's not that nice. So we just had that kind of that odd couple energy going on all the time that we certainly knew as well as we knew anything. And I know I've gotten off point, but hey, it's your job
Nope,
to bring me
nope.
back to bring me back,
These
bring me
these are
back,
where the gems are
This
found
is
in the
where, yep.
conversation. Yep.
bring me back.
Well, so to round out the conversation, is there anything about the memoir that you want readers and listeners to know that we didn't think to ask or cover?
Oh, I think I've been told, and I think this is true. It's really uh, a love story, is what it is. If you
Mm,
like a love story, this is one I think that's unusual.
mm,
It takes a lot of different sorts of perspectives on love and what love is, what unconditional love is,
mm-hmm.
and the price you might pay for that in your life. Um, I had a partner at the time who, we adored, Hispanic man. I'm white. Aaron has Down syndrome. We go into a bowling alley. No one's bowling for like 5 minutes or looking at this group that just stormed through the door, and but we love being a spectacle. This is
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
This is okay. But I think that's what it is, and I think that hopefully sustains it because there's an awful lot of Sturm and Drama, and I shouldn't say an awful lot, but there is a lot of Sturm and Drama. Now, some people really like that in stories because conflict makes a good story,
Oh
and
yeah.
this is conflict like it's moving into the epic range. I was waiting for somebody at any moment to say Spartacus. you know, I mean, really? I mean, teasers. I mean, there's an attempted abduction. There's things in this story that you can't make it up. You
Mhm.
cannot make it up, and I love that about great stories, and why I don't like most of what I see anymore in movies, et cetera, because the stories are all sort of weak and fabricated, and
Mm-hmm.
that
Contrived.
they
Yeah.
have no authenticity to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mhm.
writers didn't do any research, and who knows, maybe it's all being written by bots now. I don't know. This certainly wasn't. And I also think you'll get to know somebody. I hope, I really, really hope you'll get to know somebody that you really would have liked to have met, because he had. Um, I referred to it a couple times in the book. He had kind of this pixie dust thing, where he could come into a hostile environment and just kind of spread that around. And Los Angeles is super hostile. Uh, in just a general social sense, people are fairly distant, and there's a whole sorts of, constructs here that make being in the world outside of your social circle sometimes, uncomfortable.
Hmm.
He had the capacity just to make people just do what you're doing. I mean, like, oh, you're terrified of him 1 minute, and then as soon as he looks at you and he does his little twinkle finger wave, he just rips your mask right off,
Nice.
and aren't you the better for it? You know, uh, yeah, there's such an epic climax in this book. I mean, you will not the readers will not believe this what happened in court. Some of the stuff you just cannot absolutely believe, but it's totally true. And what he did in that court, I mean, to my last breath. I mean, it's just incredible. So I think it's a great story if you like to read about an unlikely hero, and someone you really never thought you would give 2 cents about. You will find, I think, I certainly hope, that this is somebody you will always remember because he just had that going on, you know.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I don't know if it's awesome, but he really did. See, we could have just sat down and you could have just said, I don't want to talk about your book. Just tell me about your brother. And then you guys could have gone out for like a coffee break and I would still be talking, you know. So, because this book is just a year. Of course, it's not totally linear. There's you need to know
Flashbacks
about
and
the
stuff. Yeah,
characters. We
right.
do we do a lot of backstorying here and there. I think
Mhm.
it's nicely tucked into the narrative, so it isn't distracting. It's more enriching,
Mhm.
and that I think gets the stakes get higher and higher and higher and higher, And there's if the book ranked for about a week or so, it was #1 on
I saw
Amazon.
that.
Yeah, and it isn't like a gay book, I don't think, and because I wouldn't write that, but I I don't like that. I don't live my life like that. I don't
Hmm.
live in West Hollywood. I don't want to live in West Hollywood. I want to live in the world the way I want to live, and because that's the lesson that my brother always taught me. It's like don't talk about the Down syndrome community. That's horseshit. He's a man in the world, and he's going to live in the world, the way he wants to live in the world. And we no question had that going on. Both he was getting his bigotry, I was getting it. Of course, a couple of siblings went after me because, I'm a homosexual, and they were like, "Well, you're a bad influence, and you're this and you're that," and there was all that going on, and that's okay. I mean, that's all right. Being offended is not an international incident. I don't know why people now sometimes think it is. It's not.
Right. Right.
It's just not. And you can call me whatever you want, but we're going to still take your ass to court, and we're going to win one way or the other. So that's where we went. I didn't want to do that,
Right.
and I didn't want to lose my whole family over this.
Right.
Right.
But
Hmm.
there's times in your life, I guess, I've had a few of them. This would be one where I had clarity, total clarity about what I was going to do and what it might cost. Well, I didn't have clarity about what it was going to cost me, but I said, whatever it costs me, we're going to go there.
Yeah.
We're just going to go there,
Hmm.
you know?
Yep.
And we went.
Yeah.
Woohoo. You know, although there was that moment when you're at the very top of the first drop of the roller coaster, when you're
Hmm.
right at you're just ready to go, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have got on this. You're at that moment. Oh, did I really get on this ride? This didn't
What
look
have
that
I
high. It didn't
what
look
have
like
I
that when I got
done?
on
What
it
have I
down there,
done?
and I had that for sure. I mean, I'm a human being, I
Hmm.
had my foibles and I doubted I could do it at times. I wondered, and that's all there, Um, and Aaron never doubted it. I mean, he just knew what he wanted, and I was so to this day. I mean, I was so uh, displeased that no one wanted to just ask this man what he wanted.
Right.
You
That's the
know,
heartbreaking part right
it
there.
was, and with a conservatorship, really, what you do is you're taking rights away from a person.
Right.
Hmm.
Um, at its core, I mean, it's essentially a tool. It's a tool to help someone, is what it's for. But essentially what you're doing is taking rights away from someone. So, I get to make decisions about your medical care, or I get to pay your bills for you, or whatever it was. But you know what? I had to do that to be able to enforce his choices,
Hmm.
because otherwise he was they were going to get him, and he was going to leave, and that was and no one would have ever seen him again, I'm sure.
Right. Right.
So that's the what I had to do. I would have rather we could have just sat down and said, "Hey, what are we going to do?" But that would be that's not the Flynns. That's a different family, right? That's reasonable people sitting around a table being reasonable, And when I found out in this process, I just want to say this because this is big. When I found out that we didn't all love and perceive him in the same way that I always thought we all had, because our parents raised us all the same. I also have a brother with cerebral palsy, and I had my brother with, I have a mentally ill brother. I mean, but we were all raised the same. So, everybody is different, and everybody has exceptions, and everybody has talents, and others don't have those same talents. And we learned that very early on. And when it came to your brother Aaron, don't you ever think you're better than him, or you will be in the doghouse for the rest of your life. I mean, there's zero tolerance on that. And that's actually not a disciplinary thing. That's a value. I mean, they were teaching values. They were teaching the respect and earnestness of a single life and an individual, and then it's your job in this world, in your life, to get through it, caring for people and treating them the way you would want to be treated. And when
Hmm.
I found out we weren't all there, I mean, because of the things that were written about him and the things that were said about him by his own brothers and siblings and relatives, I mean, that was when I went back. I was on the back of my heels. I was out. I couldn't believe it. So that's one of those aha moments when they pull the curtain back and it's not the wizard. You know,
Right.
it's like, oh, I thought this was the one place we. I know you hated me because I turned out to be a gay man, and that's okay. And I don't vote the same people you vote for. Fine, and I live in Los Angeles, and oh, that's a terrible place, and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. That's fine, you know. But that goes back, the thing about Aaron and the perception, that goes back to my foundation about kind of how I understood myself, how I understood my own family. And that's, I think, a big part of how everybody understands the world around
Right.
them. And so
Right.
I was back on my heels for a lot of that. But think about the conservatorship was. I didn't have time to be back on my heels. In fact,
Mm.
it's referenced in the book. I got 4 hours of sleep last night, and I had 3 hours of sleep. Like when he had the surgery, and I was able to get to sleep, had surgery in his head, and I was able, excuse me, and I was able to get to sleep for 4 hours. And woke up, and there was blood all over our house, all over the bathroom, all over the floor. And then I'm on the phone screaming, and that was the beginning of that day. There are so many days like that in this book.
Mm.
But it's fun. It's awfully fun. Uh, I thought, this is really important to bring his humor into it. And I just
Yep.
kind of have a natural snarkiness about the way I sort of tell stories. It just comes out easily. I thought, well, don't change that. Let that live and let that
Right.
voice come in, let that
Exactly.
deepen.
It's part of the story. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the reader will get to know you that way, because there isn't all like, well, this is me. Oh, I mean, I had editors tell me, oh, you need to describe yourself. Oh, bite my ass. I mean, first of all, that's not how you learn things. You learn things like reading what someone says about you, that character says about this character, and then what the reader perceives. Oh, then they did this and they made this choice.
Mhm.
That's how you learn about an interesting character, not, well, I'm this tall and I weigh this much. I'd beat your ass any day of the week if I wanted to. You just sort of
You want to learn
don't
through
do
life,
that.
not a dating profile.
It's not dating profile. And, like I never introduce myself as, oh, how do you do? I'm Hugh Flynn, I'm gay. I never introduced Aaron, oh, I want you to meet my brother Aaron, oh, he has Down syndrome. Never, ever, never.
Hmm.
When he came to visit before he lived here, I mean, I'd had friends, oh, come, my brother's in town. come over, we're gonna have dinner. Oh, we'd love to meet him. They come over, 10 people come over and 6 of them are like, you know, and 4 of them are like, oh, wow, and because boy, he'll entertain the hell out of you. And then the other 6, I'm like, I'm not sure about you anymore,
Yeah,
Um,
it was a
'Cause
great filter.
that's just who he is. I mean, you can take your judgments and assessments all you want, but that's who he is. And I hate to introduce him. In fact, in this book, the reader doesn't even know that he has Down syndrome until like page 10 or 12 or something like that. And it's just snuck in there, it's just snuck in there. So,
Right.
um, because you know what, as much as we like to say we live in a world of labels, even more so than ever.
Hmm.
And I hate that shit going on with LGBT. I mean, I just hate it. It's like, oh, let's embrace our labels. Let's just embrace our labels and let's medicalize ourselves again. No, we just got that. We just got that out of the DSM manual like 30 years ago. What the hell is wrong with you? Not a thing. Not a thing's wrong with you.
Right. Right.
And that's again, Aaron. I mean, it's that model. It's that person who always said, "This is just who I am." And I'm okay with it. How about you?
Love it. Are you ready for our get to know you questions?
Hey, let's go.
Take it away, Baz.
All right. Just a quick pause here to say if you like what we're doing here, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. If you want to help us, way to do it is to subscribe to this channel. And also, if you see the little hype button, hit that button and it'll help promote it within our YouTube channel.
Hit the
Also,
button.
yeah, you can also go to patreon.com/wrote-podcast if you want to support us financially, or if you want to do a one-time donation, you can do it at buymeacoffee.com/wrote-podcast and just throw us some pocket change our way. Every little bit helps keep the lights on. And a final way you can do it is by going to our new YouTube memberships, which are only 99 cents a month. Yes, less than $1 a month, because we know financially people are struggling. So we wanted to have something that was an economic option for you. And for that, you get our full watch along queer reactions to queer media, movies, television series, and whatnot with myself and Albert, who are our reactors to all of this stuff. So that's another way that you can support us. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to know our guest.
Support this channel.
Thank you. Can you name a movie that was better than the book?
Oh, I can. You know what? I thought the Exorcist movie was better than the book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I follow you.
Uh, well, of course, you had to read the book first. I mean, I'm sure I've seen movies, or I haven't read the book, but I did read that book, and I thought the movie just scared oh my God, I was so terrible. That movie scared me. Oh, I was a child still, and I got in because I had all these older siblings who could get me in, and we saw it like 2 days after Christmas, so it just opened. I didn't even know what an exorcism was. I know your readers probably don't remember, your listeners don't remember that the advertisements were very, very mysterious. It was just this man in this spotlight of
ghostly,
the street lamp
yeah.
looking up, and we went and found that house in Georgetown. We went and found it, and we were just terrified. But so I went into this movie, and I went with my brother Eddie, and one of the things I said, "What is this about?" And he said, "I don't think it's really scary. I just think it's just really bizarre."
Child.
You liar. I mean, I was in one of those audiences where people were throwing up and running out and screaming and fainting. I mean, that was happening.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God almighty. But I thought it was a wonderful movie. And that's William Friedkin. He kind of followed up his French connection with Exorcist. So it's nice and tight like that. I like the book too, but I thought the movie was better.
Okay.
And I know this is absolutely sacrilege to say, but I'll say it because it was the question. I also think the Wizard of Oz movie is better than the book.
Okay. Yeah, I will give you definite props for saying that.
The book is which if you read it, the book is sort of like 3 stories that are kind of pulled together, and a tremendous amount of it is not really about Dorothy.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
it loses a little bit of the focus that I think the movie really brings it in, because it's all around this luminous little girl and this incredible story.
Right. All right.
How's
Well,
that?
okay. Excellent.
Okay.
Which fictional character would you most like to be friends with?
Oh, Bugs Bunny. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Can you
absolutely.
imagine having drinks with him?
Oh
Oh,
yes. A little Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but make it bugs.
let's get bugs in. Yeah. Let's get to the disco with bugs,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh, it's an incredible chapter in the book where I take Aaron to the big gay disco in town, and he's up on. Oh, anyway, read the book.
Okay.
I'm waiting for
If there
the
if there
lawyers
was
to come
ever
in at that point and take pictures. You libertine, look what you're doing to him. Yeah,
all
Bugs
right.
Bunny.
Okay. Well, what is the most fascinating fact that you know?
Personally, or just about anything?
Your call.
Well, I think it's fascinating that the moon was once part of the Earth. That I think fascinates me. We love the moon. Aaron was a lunar lover, uh, and I think that's an incredible thing. I mean, it didn't come out like a circle, it came out in pieces and
There
joined up
wasn't
with
like
some
an
other pieces. And
impregnation and
yeah, it wasn't like a big, egg coming down the pike. But that, and also I think personally, I would say that my grandfather never knew who he was, and no one ever knew who he was. And
okay.
did research on him over the last 5 years. He was a trained orphan. If your audience doesn't know what that was, there was this horrible social engineering thing, which was done in the last part of the 1800s and went into the first 2 decades of the 1900s, where all these orphans were put on trains mostly from New York, the New York environment area, and then sent on trains out west for people that wanted children or labor or something. And he was one of those children because he was been in an orphan. I since found out that he had met his mother and he didn't know that that was his mother. This really could be a book because boy, I'm telling you, uh, I have his death certificate and his parents' names are not correct. So I don't think his wife knew who he was. I don't think he knew who he was. He had different names when he was in Kansas versus Nebraska. He had different names. This is a man who was covering up his tracks his whole life.
Wow. Wow. Fascinating. All right. Well, what was your most favorite subject in school?
Oh, PE.
Oh, well, yeah, you're an athlete, so that jives.
Get
I,
out there. Get
yeah.
out of the room. I was a little ADD when I was younger. You may be picking up a little bit of that still. I just, I don't drink coffee. I don't need it. I don't drink. Don't let that guy near caffeine. So I just sitting still for a long time was hard for me. But I love PE. Loved it. Now that was before I had to start getting into all the bullshit in like senior high and the locker rooms and comparing your penises and getting certain boys giving them wedgies and all the shame and humiliation that goes with that kind of shit. But yeah, PE, loved it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The greatest story I ever have is my granddaughter went to a private school, and when I used to sit in the parking lot, and one of her last periods beforehand was
Yeah.
PE, and I would sometimes be in the parking lot watching them do their thing. One time they were playing a game that was oddly like basketball because it involved the basketball hoops, but there were also hula hoops and
Hmm.
like badminton little.
Oh,
And I'm like going, what the fuck kind of game is this? And I spent the entire hour looking, trying to figure out how you scored, what the purpose of it was. So trust me, the children have all new games that we don't know anything about.
well, actually, we played a version of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Enlighten.
Well, where you had to, it was sort of about, and really when you think about it, it's a great motor training skill. At least it was for us, where we did use the hula hoops, and you had to keep the hula hoop going while you did something else. In this case, it was either kickball or it was basketball, where you're shooting hoops, and
Ah,
you had to keep the hula going, and if you didn't, you had to give the ball away. Yeah,
interesting. Thank you for
I
that
was
because
never great at hoops. Aaron was a master three-shotter. This little 5 foot guy. We used to go to the parks and people would stand around. It was like they had to pay, to watch this little guy. I mean, so yeah,
the
we
Steph Curry
so yeah,
before there was a Steph Curry.
we did it. Yeah. Yeah, there you are. There you are.
All right. Well, before making a telephone call, do you rehearse what you're going to say?
Oh, well, if it's a job interview, maybe, but no.
Okay. All right. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Okay. What current event or causes are you most passionate about?
Oh, well, I think I, like a lot of people, are concerned, I would say, with what I would describe as sort of the embrace of cult thinking in the United States, and how that's being played out on a political realm really distresses me. Um, uh, I worry about the impacts of our 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 country as it's living its life, and how none of these are really getting addressed, like the aging of the population and resources, not ineffective resources ready for this population, or the impacts of climate change on everything. Certainly, national security. These are huge issues. So those really concern me. I'd also say I'm constantly I think I experience moments of loss around the arts because it's declining, and I am sad to see that.
Yeah.
It
What we
makes me
do
really
have
sad.
is really shit poor. I mean,
I mean,
the shitification of an entertainment industry is just outrageous.
yeah, I mean, I grew up, I was a movie, I was a fair weather boy, out, Four Seasons outside boy, but and I grew up in DC area, and we had the big movie at 1, Monday through Friday, and I would be out at 8 o'clock, come back in at 1 to watch the movie, go back out at 3. By the time I was in first grade, I'd seen like over 300 movies,
Mm-hmm.
and and it was always the story. It was the story. It was the story. 'Cause all those movies have a story,
Right.
Hmm.
and particularly all the wonderful noir things, and all these wonderful great films. And then when I was still a youngster, crap. I mean, we go to see Jaws, or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or Nashville, or Dog Day Afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Just it was just another movie, just playing. What's playing down there? What's playing over
Yep.
here? Well,
Yep.
let's go see that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
now these are classics. These are classic.
Mm-hmm.
They were just
The
regular
children
old.
refer to them as the older films.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, yeah, down at the Egyptian there, we're running a retrospective last month on the 1975 films.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, and they were just regular films from
Yeah.
1975,
Yep.
but they're all just magnificent.
Yep.
We go to a lot of the silent films entertainment here in town. There's a couple of societies that kind of put on these festivals, and you can see things like that. I mean, I saw Lon Chaney last year in a movie. Oh, he was so marvelous. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
oh, just tremendous, tremendous. Also, I used to sing operatically professionally, and uh,
Oh, same here. Yeah.
that whole scene
Uh-huh.
is, oh, I mean, I just I have to turn it off. I mean, it's just like, really, really, what is this?
Yeah. They've
So,
yeah. Yeah.
I
It
mean,
also depends on the company, you know.
I have a issue with that. I mean, I have feelings about that, and so
Okay.
is that enough?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm bummed a lot.
Okay. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Oh, Paris, and I will be getting there in the early part of this next year, finally.
Okay. Well,
Nice.
Got to go to the Louvre, not to steal anything, but
you're going to visit
just
Notre
just
Dame
to
now
be
that it's
amazing.
been reconstructed?
I want to go to the Louvre. Oh my gosh, I want to go so bad.
Do you want to go to the
No, I
Notre
grew up
Dame?
in DC, and I grew up in a museum world. I mean, that's just what we did. It was easy,
Yeah.
it was free. It was, what are
Uh-huh.
you doing Sunday? Let's go here, let's go there.
Right.
I just knew this from an early age, and I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
here in LA, it's not too great. It's okay, but so yeah, I want to do that.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Well, who, if anyone, was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, probably Doris Day.
Love it.
She got the best parking, that's for sure.
Doris uh well, as when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, I mean, she was a big star, and she made a transition to television. She was one
Mm-hmm.
of the very
Yep.
few, well, of course,
Female
Lucy.
leads. Yep.
Of course, Lucy did it, but Lucy wasn't an A-lister when she did it. Lucy was a B queen. But Doris did it, and it was like Doris Day's on television. It was so huge. Um, Probably female Doris Day, male probably oh, like Rod Taylor maybe.
Oh,
He
okay.
was with he's an Australian actor.
Yeah.
He was in The Birds,
Yep.
and he was really The Time Machine. Oh, I love that movie.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the
That's one of
science,
my
all the
favorites.
sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Oh,
Yeah.
he
Excellent.
was very good.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's forgotten today. Doris may be for all I know.
Yeah.
But hey, que sera, sera.
Yeah.
When that woman sings, oh please,
Yeah. I have all her stuff. I love
Do
her.
you?
Yeah.
I mean, the Calamity Jane.
Yeah.
Shut the front door. I mean, she's just unbelievable.
Love Me or Leave Me. That's one of my
that
favorites.
secret love song. I still cry when she sings
yeah,
the song.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
All right.
So yeah.
Final question.
Yes.
What's your personal favorite recipe that you make, and are you willing to share it with us?
Okay. Yeah. So I make a really wicked Sicilian eggplant pie.
Ooh.
Which is really good. And you can make it with or without meat. And I have an old recipe it's simple, that my mother taught me, which is just chicken and noodles. But the way we do it, everybody raves about it.
Oh.
Aaron likes Aaron's favorite dish.
Oh,
or maybe
love
pizza.
that.
But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah. How about that? Yeah. Oh,
Excellent.
sure. Can I send that to you or what?
Yeah, just share it with Vance, and because he's planning something to do with all these recipes that we've collected over the years.
I'm telling you, for the holidays, that Sicilian eggplant pie, it's a winner.
Oh,
because it's got great presentational.
I love eggplant, so yeah, no.
Do you?
Yeah.
You don't even know it's eggplant though. For
no.
Those who hate eggplant,
wow. Okay.
It's like you're getting the eggplant, but you're getting like so many other great, wonderful things,
Yeah.
And you know what? It's pretty easy.
Okay. Well,
I'm
gotta love that.
I love easy. I'm good in the kitchen. I mean, I'm very competent in the kitchen. I'm not a chef, but yeah, if it's really super hard, I'm like, I think I'm going to pay somebody to make this for me. You know what I'm saying?
How LA of you.
Like some baking, we love the British baking show.
Oh yeah.
Say, okay, you can have 2.5 hours to do this. Oh, fuck off. I mean, there is no way that you're making that in 2.5 hours. You can't even raise the bread dough in that long. So anyway, yeah. But it's for TV.
Well, you made it through our list, so bravo.
Okay.
Nicely done.
All right, guys, how'd we do?
We did great. So do you have a social media that you want folks to follow and keep up with updates?
Boy, I don't do a lot of social media, but I do have an Instagram site, which is Hugh Flynn 24, Hugh Flynn 24.
Perfect.
And then they can reach me on email, Hugh Flynn author. That's a Gmail account, particularly if they have questions about the book.
Nice.
Or a question about conservatorship, that sort of thing. I can certainly tell you what I know or what I learned. I was just going through this last week. All of my my banker boxes, one whole closet. I thought, I don't know that I'm going to keep all of this, but we're still keeping a lot of it. So,
right.
Yeah, I think, and I've had a lot of people send me messages about the book and sort of questions about not so much like what we were talking about today, sort of like, well, how did you feel? And yeah. But sort of what happened and did this really happen and how did all those sorts of things. The how, the whys, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't answer a lot of the questions in the book. I don't think that's very interesting writing, unless you're writing that kind of a book.
Right.
Because I think it's the narrator being as stumped and as stunned as the reader should be makes better reading,
Right.
And frankly, was actually what happened is how it was. So,
right. Well, Hugh,
you guys have been great, though. It was lovely seeing you and talking to you.
It was great talking with you. Do you have any final words of wisdom for our folks?
When you think you can't juggle, just give yourself a chance, and you'll find,
whether it's physical or metaphorical.
If you can keep multiple balls in the air, keep them in the air because you can do it. I am dismayed by particularly young people who seem to get value or they get stroking out of helplessness. Don't be helpless.
Yeah.
Because life is just one big long offense. Okay. It's just one challenge after the other. And it's just incumbent upon you to be able to negotiate it with some finesse, with some dignity, and keep your sense of self along the way. Don't give yourself away to these sorts of fads and don't do that, you know.
Beautiful.
Be yourself.
There you go.
Be
Sit up.
yourself.
There you go. That part.
All right, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to Hugh Flynn for being with us. Hugh, thank you so much, and thank you for putting your book out into the world and telling your story.
Thank you very much. Want to see it? Here it is.
Yeah, show it off.
Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah. Love that.
That's a gorgeous cover.
Thank you very much. I didn't do it. I had a designer do it, but they did a lovely job on it. So
Very much so.
no complaints.
All right. We at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. If you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. The show was produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye-bye now.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.